Palestine is not just an issue of modern times. The struggle for control of this land has been ongoing for over 3,000 years. Around 3,300 years ago, Allah commanded Moses, peace be upon him, to free the Bani Israel, the Jews, from Pharaoh's oppression in Egypt. After being liberated, Moses led them to Palestine and instructed them to fight for the city. However, Bani Israel refused, saying, "You and your Lord go fight, we will stay here." As a result, Allah punished them, making them wander in the desert for 40 years. During this time, the Torah was revealed to Moses, and it clearly states in its first chapter, the book of Genesis, that the land of Palestine was designated for the descendants of Abraham, peace be upon him. The Jews claim that this verse grants them exclusive rights to Jerusalem and Palestine, as they are the descendants of Isaac, peace be upon him, Abraham's son. However, the Torah mentions that the land belongs to all of Abraham's descendants. Abraham had two sons, Isaac, the ancestor of the Jews, and Ishmael, considered the forefather of the Arabs. This implies that both Jews and Arabs have a rightful claim to Palestine. After wandering in the desert for 40 years, Bani Israel, under the leadership of Joshua, conquered Palestine. However, they lost control of it after some time. For 300 years they could not regain the city until King David, peace be upon him, conquered Jerusalem, and his son Solomon, peace be upon him, built a temple there to worship Allah. After Solomon's reign, the Jews ruled Palestine for 400 years, until the Babylonian Empire, led by King Nebuchadnezzar, attacked. He destroyed Jerusalem, demolished Solomon's temple, and enslaved the surviving Jews, taking them to Babylon in Iraq. 70 years later, the Persian king Cyrus the Great, also known as Zulkarnain, conquered Babylon. He freed the Jews, allowing them to return to Palestine and rebuild Solomon's temple. The Jews ruled Palestine again for 400 years before the Roman Empire overpowered them. The Romans oppressed the Jews severely, forcing many to live in caves to escape persecution. They destroyed Solomon's temple, which has never been rebuilt. The Roman Empire ruled Palestine for 600 years, until it made a critical mistake, attempting to suppress the rapidly growing Islamic faith in Arabia. Islam and its caliphate expanded swiftly, eventually conquering both the Roman and Persian empires. During this time, Caliph Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, led the Muslim forces to the gates of Jerusalem. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, had prophesied that Muslims would conquer Jerusalem. The governor of Jerusalem agreed to surrender the city on the condition that Caliph Umar personally visit. Umar arrived humbly, walking on foot while his servant rode a camel. This shocked the people of Jerusalem, who were accustomed to seeing kings arrive with great pomp and armies. Umar granted religious freedom to all and allowed Jews to return to Jerusalem, which had been forbidden under Roman rule. For the first time, Jerusalem became a place of peaceful coexistence for Muslims, Christians, and Jews. This peace lasted for 350 years, until the Crusaders from Europe attacked. Taking advantage of internal conflicts among Muslims, the Crusaders easily captured Jerusalem. They massacred thousands of Muslims and Jews, desecrated mosques, and converted the Al-Aqsa Mosque into a palace. Historical records, even from European sources, document the rivers of blood that flowed in the streets. This brutal occupation lasted for 90 years until the great Muslim leader Salahuddin Ayubi recaptured Jerusalem. Unlike the Crusaders, Salahuddin forgave the Christians and restored religious freedom. The Al-Aqsa Mosque was reconsecrated, and Salahuddin prayed there for the first time. For the next 800 years, Jerusalem remained a place of peace and coexistence under Muslim rule. However, after World War I, the Ottoman Caliphate, which controlled Jerusalem, collapsed. Arab leaders allied with the British, believing they would gain independence, but the British had secretly promised to support the establishment of a Jewish state in Palestine through the Balfour Declaration. Jewish communities, already powerful in Europe, saw this as an opportunity. Wealthy Jews began purchasing land in Palestine at inflated prices, and the migration of Jews to the region increased, especially after the Holocaust during World War I. In 1947, the United Nations proposed dividing Palestine into three parts, one for the Jews, one for the Palestinians, and an international zone in Jerusalem. The Arabs rejected this plan. When Israel declared its independence in 1948, neighboring Arab nations attacked. Despite their numerical advantage, the Arabs were defeated, and Israel expanded its territory, displacing 700,000 Palestinians. Over the years, Israel grew stronger, receiving support from global powers including the United States and Russia. In 1967, another war,